And let's watch my laptop crash as this starts to load, because my laptop is not good. So, as you can hopefully tell, I'm Jay Radcliffe, the president of Dragonflowers. I have been playing D&D for 8 years, which hasn't been a waste of my life at all. It has in fact been an incredibly enriching experience and has been great crack. Almost all of my experience with D&D has been as a DM. I have only played in 2 campaigns, one of which lasted 2 sessions and one of which lasted 6. The entire rest of the time I have been running games for other players, and pretty much all of that has been online. And in playing online, most of the time I've been doing it has been using various different tools online. I will preface this by saying that this is going to be mainly about D&D. Oh, we've got a latecomer. Hello. You've only missed the introduction. Congratulations. Yes, sorry, that's just for moderation purposes. We have had a couple trolls in the past. So, this is going to be mainly D&D because that's what I know. I have played other games like Dark Heresy and Call of Cthulhu a little bit, but it's mostly D&D. What I usually use for my online D&D stuff is... One second, I'll just get the screen share up and running here. Perfect. Roll20. I've been using this for, as you can see by this number right here, a depressingly long amount of time. I'm looking forward to getting up to 2,500 hours played. Yeah, I have a problem. But this is what I've used for most of my stuff. I usually do D&D online. It's rare that I would get a chance to play D&D in person, so this is what I usually use for it. For the DMs in the chat, this has some genuinely amazing tools for making like just battle maps and stuff like that. I'll just show you how one goes about making a new game. I am subscribed to Roll20, so I will have a couple of tools that you probably won't have. You don't need to subscribe at all. But let's just do this. We'll just call it the test one for now. A very important thing to do whenever you're making a Roll20 game is to choose a character sheet. Because, again, D&D. It has support for a whole bunch of different systems, like Call of Cthulhu. It has basically everything. I like to use the shaped one because it looks like the regular character sheet you're meant to have. And I'm a sucker for aesthetics. Just look at this one down here. It's the actual stat sheets you get for the monster manual. Oh, beautiful. But yep, we'll just make this game, wait for it to load up. It can take a bit of time. No, it's immediate. Hooray. You can put like a file here and invite players, but that's a problem for future, Jay. We'll launch this game here, and I will take you through just some of the things that Roll20 allows you to use. Here's the lag. It always comes at some point. Roll20 is probably the best way to do D&D if you like to use maps for your gaming experiences. Well, this is not hurrying itself along, is it? But Roll20 also has its own inbuilt compendium for all the kind of rules you want. Some of the rules, like, for example, I looked at last night, if you could get Call of Cthulhu, so thanks for pointing out that one out as a good example. And you do need to buy that stuff if you want to, like, read it on here. I will say, you can find a lot of things online in free PDF formats. It's quite depressingly easy, in fact, but you didn't hear that from me. Roll20 offers a bunch of things to do. If you're a DM, you can make your own maps using things like tokens here. Say, for example, I looked up orc. I can put in orcs, or in this case, it's kobolds. I'm not sure why kobolds showed up. I could put in maps and stuff like that, but that's for the DMs only. You could also make character sheets. I always love to have my characters just all in the one place. You can put characters here. As a DM, you can also make handouts that you can like type up notes in, put your quests out, put magic item descriptions down, and then hand those out to your players for easy access. Character sheets. It's pretty simple. Well, this just takes a second to load, and my laptop starts dying in the background. Wow, I hope you can't hear that fan. It gives a randomly generated name, which has led to some hilarious characters in the past, such as one character called Adaclud Grumake, which we based their entire character, like personality, on that name alone. It's a great wee sheet. It's got all the places. Roll20 has a wonderful thing in it where you can just add whatever class you want to play. So let's say, for example, I just wanted to make a rogue. I can just load down this wee bar, or not, because Roll20 doesn't like me all that much. Click on rogue, and then I scroll down here to the class features, and Roll20 will usually put them all in for me. It hasn't today. Roll20 is a buggy system, but it's usually pretty damn good. It also just it does all the maths for you. Oh, wait, no. There we go. It's put them in now, and it even has like the descriptions of what expertise does. You can pick your skills, and so on and so forth. And genuinely, Roll20 is an absolutely great system to use for making characters and using them as part of a game. An example of this is if I just add on here, so I'm playing a rogue, I'm just going to add a rapier attack. Can put this in, it's a melee weapon. Make it so that it's dexterity based. Put in its reach if I want. It'll do a d8 plus dexterity damage. And I'm only showing you this so that I can show you the wonderful little bit at the end. Because whenever I put this down, take it off of editing mode, and then click on Rapier, it will automatically roll the attack to hit and the damage for me. I rolled a nat 20. We're off to a good start to this workshop. That's hopefully a good sign. But that's obviously just if you want to make weapon attacks. You can also do it's a bit more complicated for spells because they can have saving throws and all, but you can add all that in yourself. If instead you just want to roll regular dice on the left hand side here, you'll see that I can click on D10. Just rolled a D10. 5d20. I rolled 5d20. 2 of those are critical failures. Bugger. Some other great things is you can use this just to measure distances, so each square is 5 feet. You can adjust that in the settings up here. Or instead, if you want to roll dice the way I like to roll dice, is I like to type in whatever I want to roll here. So say I want to roll 10d20 plus 9. I can roll 10d20 plus 9. That's more for the DM side of things, but players, you'll probably end up using this more often, but you'll figure it out yourselves, I'm sure you will. But next up, I want to show you guys quite a fun thing, and that is the modules that Roll20 lets you do. So, for those of you unaware, modules are the pre-written adventures that 5th edition D&D offers to you. You can buy them through Wizards of the Coast, but you can also buy them through Roll20. And if you buy them through Roll20, genuinely, they are so well made. And I regret having ever run a module in person, because compared to running a module in person with all the just flicking through the books and trying to explain what you see on the map as a DM, Roll20 offers a far better experience for that. Because it does 2 things. One of them is it provides you with all the information you would need anyway. Once this loads up, I'll just show you that it has all of the characters written down, and it has all the information for all the monsters that are used in the adventure. But arguably more importantly, it has all of the maps laid out, and it's given them all the places where the monsters are. It has little notes to remind you where traps are, and possibly the most important thing, at least in my eyes, lighting. For some unknown reason to me, they decided that they would apply a dynamic lighting system to every single map in this, and it is so gorgeous. I will be able to show you that quite quickly using a character that I've already placed onto one of these maps. So once this loads in, it does take its time, as you can probably tell. I'll be able to show you all of that. Wow, my laptop hates me today. While we're waiting, because this could take some time, anyone have any questions about anything I've said so far? Oh. No? Oh. So, that really kind of depends. Obviously, if you trust your players to move their characters around in a sensible manner, absolutely. You will have those players who just want to mess about and like they will move their characters through walls and just steam on ahead. So that's really a judgment call from you as a DM onto the players. But for the most part, you can trust your players to do the right thing in these scenarios. Anyway, so we have finally loaded in. Took us long enough. As you can see, this has all of the things that you might need to run the adventures. You'll see here that we have some of the characters I was running through this. Ignore the fact that one of them is Uguay. It's a long story, and Cameron can't be trusted. But let's say, for example, your characters in Tomb of Annihilation have just arrived at Port Nyanzari, which is a place in Chult, which is a tropical... It's about to say wonderland, but it's really not a wonderland. It will tell you all the information on the various side quests in there. I would load these up, but they take their time, especially on this laptop. If you have a better PC, Roll20 will run so much better for you, especially when it comes to the dynamic lighting, which we'll get to in a bit, and you'll see that it's not the best when your laptop has the processing power of 3 potatoes strapped together with duct tape, but if you have the proper PC, it'll just run fine. Oh, my connection to the server's been interrupted. That hasn't happened in ages. Let's just scroll down here so I can get to the proper map that we are currently on, which is in Chapter 4. Yes, the Fane of the Night Serpent. So this is technically spoilers for Tomb of Annihilation, but if you haven't played it so far, and like haven't even started, you're not going to notice. So yeah, I'll just load this up whilst one of the backgrounds loading up. And this will tell us everything that we need to know about this particular map. It will tell us what is in each room. It will tell us what the monsters do. It will tell us if there's any important characters in there, some of their personality traits. That's just how modules work, really. Are some people having trouble staying connected? Apparently so. Well. Wow, this was not this laggy last night. I'm guessing that's the recording doing that. But whilst we wait on that, I'll just sort of show you guys the map itself that is currently blurry as all hell in the background. Any of the tokens on any of these maps in the modules, you can shift double click on. So let's say I was just going to click on this basilisk here, or not. Let's say I'm going to click on whoever this person is. Click on them, and then shift double click. It will bring me to their character sheet, which will show me usually just like the stats of the creature under character sheet itself, which can take its time to load. But these character sheets are already all prepared, so you saw me setting up the rapier earlier that I could just click on one button and it will roll the attack and the damage. Roll20 has these set up so that you can do that for any monster in their module adventures. And you can of course set these up as well in your own games, but it's a lot of effort. And I'm very much a seat of your pants kind of DM, so that doesn't tend to happen for me. But let's say, just going to bite there, as you'll see come up in the chat, it's already set up that this Yuan-Ti Malazon is just going to bite one of our players in the throat. If the dice ever rolls. Hey, it did roll. Did I hit? I did hit, probably. That wouldn't have hit Turles. No, it would not. But yeah, this is still loading here because it hates me. So in the meantime, whilst that's loading over there, I shall rejoin as a player to show you lot how the dynamic lighting works. And that's going to load in the background. Oh, nice show. Just so you can see how the dynamic lighting adds to all the things you do. You can set up dynamic lighting on your own if you have a subscription to Roll20, which I think starts at about $5 per month. But it's a lot of effort, but boy is it worth it. Anytime I am setting up a dungeon for my players that I want them to properly run through and experience, like the tight corridors and have line of sight be a thing, I set up dynamic lighting. Also just because it kind of looks cool. It has killed someone on PC on more than one occasion, but at this point that's a badge of honor. Yep, these are taking their time to load, so while they take their time, does anyone have any more questions? Apparently not. I don't think there's any fun stories from any of my campaigns recently. So in this Tomb of Annihilation campaign, I started it about halfway through summer and didn't get it remotely finished. It ended horribly in the end, but that was mostly just because of various scheduling conflicts. But probably the highlight of it was, about halfway through their adventures in Port Nyanzaru, one of the players just decided, I am going to jump off this bridge as a shortcut. Now as a DM, anyone who's been a DM knows that in this scenario, you will be very tempted to just kill that player. But I resisted that urge, and I made him roll the dexterity saving throw. And he rolled a nat 1. I don't think I've ever had a player character die outside of combat like that before, but to any players in the room, don't jump off of bridges at level 1. Okay, so this appears to have loaded a bit better, and we'll be able to see, at the very least, the map itself. Well, this takes forever to load. Yep. God, Roll20 hits me. I'll take you through the compendium in the meantime. The compendium here is something that we can use to look up information. So, let's say, for example, I'm making a wizard. Thinking about what kind of spells I would need, I can click on spells here. It will very slowly and excruciatingly take me through the compendium. There are, of course, a bunch of other resources released online, ones you can get for free from various sites that will show you these spells, especially ones that you can't get, because this will only show me the ones from the base player's handbook, and I don't think it shows you all of them. It sure as hell doesn't show you the ones from Xanathar's guide. Yeah. Any second now in Roll20, you're making me look bad in front of the Slayers. Oh, there we go. So yep, if I click on any of these, so let's say for example, Eid, I can click on this one, it will load up the page, and you'll be able to see exactly what it is Eid does, which, if I remember correctly, is a second level spell that increases someone's hit points by 5. Let's see if I'm right. Am I going to look stupid in front of the Slayers? Ooh. Looks promising so far. I didn't say there was 3 creatures though. I'm already disappointed in myself. Here we go. Yes, increases by 5 for the duration. And you can increase it by further 5 for that all. And there's a whole bunch of spells in there, and you can just like copy and paste those into like spell blocks for descriptions, and it works really well. Page is unresponsive, unsurprising. And that isn't loading at all. Well, while my laptop slowly crashes in the background, I'll open the floor back up to any questions that people might have, just regarding rules in this and like making maps or importing spells or whatever. Anything at all. So this is how lecturers feel. Yeah, Roll20 doesn't appear to like me. So new thing I've learned, if you have a terrible laptop and are trying to record in the background... I'm dying. Am I still dying, guys? Okay. Oh, thanks very much for that, Ryan. I think that the internet in BT1 just kind of cut out for a second there. It does that every now and then. So it wasn't even Roll20's fault. Damn you, BT1 internet. I hope you didn't miss all that much. I basically just took you through the spells at the end, and then asked a question to silence. Yep, this is just the map that you can see. That should all be loaded around about now. Then we'll just wait on the player version to load so that I can show you the dynamic lighting. This could take a hot minute. So, does anyone have any questions while we wait for this? How's everyone's day been? No complaints from anyone? Excited to do D&D or Call of Cthulhu? Us even? Yep. Fuck. What the hell is happening? What the hell happened? This is going exactly as well as expected. Yeah, I don't think that it's a good idea for me to show you the dynamic lighting, but just trust me, it really does add to the experience when it works. But in any case, that finishes the Roll20 portion of things. Oh god. Anyway, I'll now show you D&D Beyond, which is another tool that you can use. I will admit, I'm fairly inexperienced when it comes to D&D Beyond because I've been using Roll20 for 8 fucking years. So D&D Beyond, like, I've been using Roll20 the entire time, and I've been a bit against moving over to D&D Beyond, even though it is, like, objectively better in a lot of ways. I'll just show you some of the things you can do with it. So D&D Beyond has its own rule system. Not rule system. That's a stupid way for me to put it. You know what? I'm going to stop sharing this screen and I'm going to turn the quality down a little bit because it's evidently not doing all too well and is slightly dying. There we go. Hopefully that's fixed something. Who knows? I'll turn off my video as well just so we only have the share screen feature. Yep. There we go. This should be better. I hope. So you're all able to see my screen properly, yeah? I'll take silence as yes. Good. So D&D Beyond has its own little place where you can go to look up rules. It's better in some ways than Roll20s and worse in others. So let's say, for example, I was going to go to where's spells? Here's spells. Go to wizard spells. It will show me all of the spells that a wizard can take. So that's it. So acid splash, for example. Interestingly spell. That's something I didn't click on. Yep, so just click on this, it will expand out and show me exactly what it does. But some of the spells here, you will need to buy extra things. So say for example you want to see Booming Blade, you have to buy Sorcerer's Adventurer's Guide. You don't really need to use all these, but it is just a nice place to see everything that one could buy, with this, like could have with the Sorcerer's Adventurer's Guide and all that kind of thing on D&D Beyond. So that's useful at the very least. I'll just take you through the character builder here because D&D Beyond's character builder is great. I prefer the freeform nature of Roll20s because I can go from race to class, then back, and then pick background and go back and forth and all that kind of thing. But this is a great quick way to go through the basic character creation steps. So let's go. I'm going to have the base sources and Magic the Gathering Eberron content, might as well. In terms of advancement type, I prefer milestone-based advancement myself. I know other people like the more video gamey kind of thing of XP-based experience, but you know, I prefer manual so I can roll my dice. Always love to roll dice and roll ones. Always ones. Now here's my own little pet peeve in these matters. If you're a new DM, do not allow feats, because certain players, like Cameron, will abuse them. But they are very fun to add extra flavour to different characters and so on and so forth. Yep, this all looks good to me. We'll make it private, I don't want anyone perusing our characters themselves. Let's pick a race. This is Dragon Slayers. I kinda have to go for the Dragonborn, don't I? I'll go with a red dragon. I clicked green. We're going green, apparently. This will also show you the different things that your race gets. So, Dragonborn will show me the breath weapon and the damage resistance. I'll choose my class. Let's go for a Paladin and Holy Warrior. I'll add this in. It will also show you all of the things that you get from being your class. So, let's say, for example, I can see that I get improved advancement at 11th level, and so on and so forth. You get the picture. Just choose my two proficiencies here. I'll choose Persuasion and Intimidation. I'm going to be a charismatic paladin. Or just ease of character creation, we'll go for the standard array of stats. Your DM can bring you through all this in your own time, but I'm going to be a strong boy and a charismatic boy. Not that wise, pretty smart, pretty tough, kind of meh in terms of dexterity. And that puts all the things here and to show me all the bonuses that I can get with it. Looks pretty good. I can then pick my character details, such as my alignment, any religions I have, lifestyle choices, etc., etc. You can go through these in your own time. I don't need to show you them. It'll also show you your starting equipment, which I'm going to choose equipment here. I can go through all of these kind of things and pick, do I want martial weapon and shield? In which case, what kind of martial weapon do I want? Probably a long sword. And you get the picture. And there, at that point, I basically finished the character. You just also have to put up like backstory and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, when it comes to Roll20 versus D&D Beyond, it's really up to you. I prefer D&D Beyond for making quick characters and putting together all your equipment and that kind of stuff. But I prefer Roll20 because Roll20's like battle maps kind of thing is far superior. Holy crap. D&D Beyond does have this extra feature where you can make encounters. So let's say we've got a party here. I can manage the characters. I've got 4 players who are 3rd level, so they've just got access to the subclasses. And they're going to be ambushed by some bandits. And there's going to be one bandit captain, which, as you can see here, it's calculated that this would be a very easy battle. We'll add in some more bandits. Just adding 1 makes it a medium, 2 makes it hard. But I can go all the way up to... How many can I get it to? Yeah, I can get it all the way up to... 1, 2... Yeah, I can get to quite a few bandits before this encounter becomes deadly. And this is a great way just to calculate the encounters. The D&D encounter system isn't good, but it is a good way just to judge how things are. But yeah. That ends sort of the presentation part of the presentation. Now you have the unfortunate day to see my interesting face once again. But yeah, D&D Beyond is great for character creation. Roll20 is great for playing things. If you want to run any modules, do it in Roll20. You can get all kinds of rules in both. You can find other rules online in places that I'm not allowed to tell you, but have definitely used. Yeah, that ends the presentation part of the presentation, coming in a nice round 30 minutes. Now, we get to questions! These questions can be absolutely anything. This can be anything from something about you just saw, to how's a DM, how to be a better player, just what I had for breakfast this morning. Go ahead. Does anyone have any questions at all? Probably type a wee message in Roleplaying 1 so that I can call on you to ask in case 10 people have a question at once. God damn it, Ryan. I had a Belvita breakfast biscuit. It wasn't all that filling. Oh, a good type of character beginner to start with. There's no real answer to that, honestly. If you want the correct answer, you pick a character that doesn't have that many options and that many mechanical things, just so you can focus on learning the rules. But that can be boring. And play what you want to play. The most complicated class to play in D&D 5th edition is probably the cleric, because you've got so many options to pick just from level 1. But if you want to play a cleric, play a cleric. It's your character to make, and sure, it'll probably be a bit complicated for the first 2 or 3 sessions. So what? It'll be fun. No emerald face. Don't jump off bridges. It's not all that fun. She's got a parachute and it's a high enough bridge, maybe, but... Ryan, why did I let you join this? What would I recommend with starting with for someone looking to start DMing for the first time? So, when you're starting DMing for your first time, basically do whatever you want. There are some great resources out there for looking as to how to start DMing. In a few weeks' time, it would have been 2 weeks' time, but 2 weeks' time is Halloween. Can't just do a D&D workshop then. So on the 14th of November, I will be running another workshop on how to be a better DM. Players can come along to that as well, just so you can look behind the curtain and see just how much your DM hates you. But usually running one of the starter modules, so the starters kit that D&D 5th edition has put out, they've got 2 of them now. There's the starters kit, Lost Mines of Phandelver, and the essentials kit, which is Dragon of Icespire Peak. Both of them are great adventures that gives you all the information you'll need to run a campaign and show you how to make one. The first games I didn't run a module until 4 years ago, so all of my stuff was homebrew, which occasionally ended terribly, but for the most part was very good fun. Although I will say to you that the most important skill when it comes to being a DM isn't preparation, it isn't character voices, it is improvisation. Because your players will never do what you expect. They will actively find ways to screw over your campaign, and it is hilarious every time. But yeah, how do I make my campaign interesting when I'm an inexperienced DM? That's a very broad question. Most of my campaigns tend to be quite funny. I don't do serious stuff all that often. But even when I do, the best way to get players interested is to see what interests them. It's sort of like the strategy of throw everything at the wall to see what sticks. Sometimes you'll spend hours making a character, for a quest who's got an interesting backstory, and they will latch on to Boblin the Goblin, and now Boblin the Goblin is the most important thing in the campaign. That's fine. That's fun. I'm trying to make things interesting. When it comes, the biggest part of D&D is probably characters. So there's 3 pillars to D&D: role playing, combat, and exploration. Combat's pretty easy to figure out. Combat's pretty easy to figure out in terms of just like you roll dice and describe what happens. There's a whole bunch of ways to make things more interesting. I advise looking into like what modules have done for encounters to see what's fun there. Looking into like what video games do for encounters. So something I did a while back was I designed a couple bosses in my campaigns based off like raid bosses from World of Warcraft, and they went down pretty good. In terms of role playing, when you're making characters for your party to interact with NPCs, you want to make them have one thing that makes them sort of stand out. Whether that's, hello there, I'm Bob, I'm the troll I guard this museum. Just a funny voice like that. It could be that they always have like a slouch position, or they've got like a scar over the right eye. One thing that makes them different from the other characters. And when it comes to exploration is where I'm personally the weakest, but make sure that you leave a bunch of things for the players to look at. Even if you've written one sentence about them, you can bullshit things as you go along. You don't want to have your players walk into a room and say, you walk into the wizard's study, there are books everywhere and a bright red quill on their desk. They're going to immediately go to that bright red quill. Say, you walk into the wizard's study, you see that there is an owlbear pelt on the ground laid out. There are books across all of the shelves. Several stand out to you. There's one in vibrant purple leather, another that seems to be has a chain wrapped around it. There's a bright red quill on the wizard's desk next to what appears to be a blank notebook. That way the players will have a bunch of things that they can look at and explore, even if the only thing of importance was that red quill. In terms of layer plans or templates you can work with for quests, there's stuff online that you can look up. I know Nerdarchy, which is a YouTube channel, made like encounters in a box, which is there are just some encounters that you can buy online that you could just run as they are written, and that will give you sort of a good idea. A lot of DMing comes with experience. If you look back on what my first D&D stuff was, it would be hilariously bad. Like the time I tried to introduce devil fruits into a campaign from One Piece. That ended so bad. It was so funny. Anyway, next up from Kitty. What general pitfalls would you advise players to avoid? It depends on your group. It really does. One general thing is you are making a character, but that character is a part of a party. Lone wolf characters can work, and I've had a couple of lone wolf characters that have been very fun, but for the most part, they tend to disrupt the flow of the story, and sometimes it just becomes the lone wolf's adventure and the party's as well, which can work really well. You'll learn these kind of things as you play D&D more often. But yeah, the only thing I would always say is listen to your DM. When your DM tells you to stop doing something, you stop doing something. When your DM sort of says, are you sure you want to do that? Listen to that. And can you design maps to stick in Roll20 or is it all stuff you buy? You can design your own maps. I've made some maps of my own. I would show you, but as has been proven by my internet, that is a terrible idea. I've designed dungeons in the past. I've designed other maps. So I use this program called Wonderdraft to actually design like world maps. No, I don't think there's any way for me to actually show you guys that, unfortunately, because all that's on my computer at home. But yeah, you can also just like look up maps online. Like I know Dragonslayers has a bunch of copies of the starter kit and essentials kit, so if you guys wanted to, I would be able to lend them out to you. We have something set up along those lines, just like a little spreadsheet that says what's been out. We did roll it out a while ago, but I don't think anyone noticed. So if you do want to use the essentials kit or the starter kit, you can come ask me, just DM me a message, and you can come down to the student lounge, and I will give you one, all sanitized and all, but you will have to give it back, of course, and we will chase you to the ends of the earth if you don't. But I was running one of those like from the actual box, and, well, the pandemic happened before I finished that campaign, So I looked up the maps online and just copy pasted images of them into Roll20, made them the right size, and worked like that. But yeah, well, there appears to be some sort of argument happening in general chat. Oh, Jack. Oh, there we go. Hello, we were just talking about you, Jack. But yeah. That's okay. I am trying to record this. It's currently going well enough. Let's see how well it comes out whenever it's actually finished. If it does work well, I'll upload that to like Google Drive and send you guys a link to it so you can go back and watch this clusterfuck in real time. Good idea, Ryan. Thanks for that. But yeah, are there any questions that anyone else has about being a player, being a DM, heck, about systems that we have in place, like for the looking for group system, anything at all? Type it into roleplay. Oh, if you're interested in DMing, then go right ahead. Trust me, it is a lot easier than you think it is. Yeah, you can make it super complicated, you can, but just to peel behind the curtain a little bit. Some of the best sessions that I've ran, I have done 20 minutes of preparation work for. And that is not some sort of boast of, oh, look, I am such a good DM. Those sessions have no right to be good. But if you spend a lot of time being a DM and going through like just different kinds of knowing how your players will react to certain scenarios, you can shine a dog turd, basically. Yeah. They never do what you think. They never do what you think. Ever. Ever. Oh no. Oh god. Yeah. But anyway, other questions here? Any other general resources I'd recommend outside of any of the stuff you've already shown? I would, but I'm not sure I'm allowed to as president of Dragon Slayers. There are a bunch of ways to find like free rules and all online. YouTube is a genuinely great place to go. So there's channels like XP to Level 3, does great comedy videos on D&D, and does reviews of stuff. Mr. Rex does excellent lore videos if you want to be a DM and you want to dive deeper into like the lore behind dragons or whatever. He did, yeah. Sorry, Jack, but you might want to mute and like ask questions in roleplay one because it's okay. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of places to look. A lot of them are slipping my mind right now because I'm tired and I've not had enough Pepsi today. But yeah, you'll be able to find so many things online. D&D is a massive community, so there's also stuff like, what's it called? The DM's Guild, that gives you great homebrew content. Then with the looking for group system, you can reach out to a DM if you want and set up your own thing, but we will assign you a DM. And by we, I mean Aoife will. Aoife's been doing a great job of that so far. Assigned a whole bunch of people to. We've got 4 campaigns running right now. Still got a bunch of people that are waiting in the wings because we don't have quite enough GMs. But if any of you would like to sign up for that, just send Aoife a little private message to say, I'd like to DM, and we can put you in charge of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I mentioned this earlier, Dragon Slayers has a couple copies of the D&D Essentials Kit and the Starter Kit. So if you just want to run a whole adventure that's written for you, we can lend those out to you. We have a system in place, so you can't just run off with them. But there's also other places online you can look up just ideas for stories. Genuinely, there's been a lot of times where you can just like nick from stories that you know you've read but no one else has. So I do a lot of Warhammer and none of my players do. I have nicked a lot of things from Warhammer. Yeah, yeah. I know for a fact that if oh beautiful. Just realised that I'm not sure if you specifically would be recorded, Jack, because I've only put my microphone to be recording. Ah well. Oh, thank you very much. That's a great some great resources there for generators. Thanks. Sweet. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Just you can upload your own images into Roll20 very easily. Uh, no real problems with it. Sometimes it's a bit of a ball ache, like getting them to be the right size on the maps, but it usually ends out fine. But yeah, are there any other questions for any kind of advice that people have? I'm scheduled until 4 o'clock here, so I'm in no rush. No? Shall we start the memeing then? Oh, right. So, in that case, I suppose I'll go through his whilst people are. Yes, Ryan, I was going to get to Arthur. Oh. Right, so if people have any other questions, just put them in chat and I will get to them as soon as I'm able to. But for those of you who would like to hear some stupid D&D stories, let me begin. For the past year, I have been running a campaign set in Ravnica, which is, they've released a source book for it, but it's the setting from Magic the Gathering. I would give you context, but context is irrelevant to what Arthur can do. Arthur is a character that was made by Cameron that is the most overpowered piece of crap that has ever existed. The Ravnica campaign is the most overpowered piece of crap that has ever existed. At level 16, they killed the Tarrasque. For those of you who are unaware, the Tarrasque is the strongest monster in 5th edition D&D. And for a bit of context on that front, challenge rating a system in D&D, so say you're fighting a challenge rating 3 monster, a party of 4 adventurers will have an alright challenge against it. One of them might go down, no one's going to die. A challenge rating 20 monster would be, for like 16, level 16 players, a challenge rating 20 monster would be a really hard encounter. They're almost certainly one of them's going to go down, one of them might well die. The Tarrasque is challenge rating 30. They killed it at level 16. They were a player down, and only one player went down. Yeah. Nope. It was so funny because we were just rolling on the way to the actual adventure that I had planned for that day. I made a joke like, sure, we'll roll on the random tables that were in Volo's guide, not Volo's guide, Xanathar's guide to everything. And I said, we'll roll on the Urban Encounters table, because they were in a city. And they rolled a 100. Yes, Alex rolled a 100. Alex rolled a 100. Which meant that Tarrasque showed up. And I thought, okay, I might actually get to make the characters realize that they can be threatened. No, they killed the Tarrasque. It was beautiful. Oh yeah, no, you absolutely can. Oh, you absolutely can. And I have made a couple of my own monsters to fight in the Ravnica campaign. That's usually ended terribly, but surprisingly few, actually. I should add more though, they're based on Warhammer. But yeah, but Arthur is a wonderful beast because he is the Ravnica campaign is weird because the party consists of Arthur, who is a fighter cavalier who like rides on a Pegasus. I'm not sure why I gave him a Pegasus. I really messed up there, but it was funny at the time. And it also has a sorcerer played by Ryan and 3 wizards. 3 wizards. Because party balance doesn't exist. They don't have a healer. They don't have any utility. But yeah. The party consists of Kel, made by Oscar, the previous president. Kel is what I refer to as the Nope Wizard. Kel can say no to anything. He has Shield to just avoid any and all attacks. And he has Counterspell. He has so many Counterspell that I straight up basically cannot use wizards against the party. And it's so funny. Kinda, yeah. He based it off of what playing a blue-white control deck for Magic the Gathering as a character would be. There is Ryan, who plays a Storm Sorcerer, and that character is called Trivaz, who is just lightning incarnate. If anything's standing in a line, that thing dies. And he's also immune to lightning and thunder damage and can fly now, which is quite fun. There is Nit, who is played by Alex. Nit is an illusion wizard with so many great spells that just prevent monsters from moving that I now cannot use a single big monster against the party unless that monster can just ignore effects, like the Tarrasque. Yeah, no, they've broken me. They've broken me. And then there is Vaya, who is meant to be a transmutation wizard, alchemy and all that kind of stuff. Vaya has not cast a single transmutation spell in the entire campaign. Fireball. Yeah. It's beautiful. And because of Vaya, I can't use any hordes. In one of those campaigns was definitely when we just finished a murder mystery, but it actually went really well and I was really proud of. An advice if you want to do a murder mystery, make it so that 2 people are actually the bad guy, but they'll only find out about one of them unless they do really well. Yeah, make everyone the bad guy so that the party's always right, because it feels really bad if they get it wrong, and they won't even know if they get it wrong for the most part. But yeah, at the end of this murder mystery, they find out who the bad guy is. It's this priest who's just killed the guild leader. He says, "You'll never catch me," and starts to fly off because he's an insect and has wings. Ravnica's weird. So he's running away and is sending spells back to throw everyone off. But Arthur can catch up immediately because Arthur has a Pegasus. And Arthur moves up and bonks him on the head with the staff that he just bought. Now, Arthur had bought this staff during downtime. It was a magic item. And we rolled to see how cursed it was, which is just a wee homebrew thing I added in. If you rolled a d20 and rolled a 1, it would be cursed. He rolled a 1. And then I said, you know what, let's roll again, see how cursed it is. He rolled a 1 again. He tried again and rolled a 3rd 1. He tried again and rolled a 4th 1. He then rolled an 11, which is technically 2 1s. So this staff was so incomprehensibly cursed. But no one knew that. But yeah, he runs up to this priest, bonks him on the head with the staff, and when he rolls to attack, he rolls a natural 1. And one of the curses I'd written for this is that if it rolled a natural 1, the staff would explode. Not destroying the staff, but it would just explode. And this brought Arthur into half health because Arthur is invincible, and disintegrated this priest. So they found out who the murderer was, managed to arrest his accomplice, and then completely annihilated the murderer and got them in big trouble with their employer, and it was the funniest thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh god. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh no. That's beautiful. But yeah. Yeah. So on a similar point to what Jack just said there, whenever you're running a campaign, always make sure that when you're making a character for the campaign as a player or as the DM, that you know what people are okay with. So stealing money there is hilarious for Jack's group. That happened in any of my groups. I know for, oh yeah, it's hilarious. But like, if stealing money sometimes really gets on people's nerves. Like I know for a fact if it happened in the Ravnica campaign, any time prior to them getting enough money, which is a long story in and of itself, uh, they may well have just killed each other. Which would have been funny in and of itself, but, you know, sometimes it's a bit annoying. Make sure that you always know what other players are up for, and, like, just don't be a dick, really. Uh, oh god. You know, I'll tell you as all the story of the paint. This is beautiful. So, I do this thing in the Ravnica campaign where the Ravnica campaign is technically taking place in real time. So they get like one mission a week that they go and do, and then they have a week of downtime. And most of the time in this downtime, at least one player will go to search for magic items. And they roll on these tables, and they get to roll on more tables, and they get random magic items that they can then buy with their money. Uh, which usually is a great bit of crack. But one week, Alex rolled really well on the magic item tables. He actually rolled a nat 20. And that meant that he got to roll on one of the magic items. I can't remember which one, because I have purged that information from my memory. And he ruled that he would get Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments. Now, Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments are quite fun. They let you basically, anything you paint becomes real. If you paint a frog, it'll become a little statue of a frog. You can't make living things, you can't make magic items, you can't make anything too valuable. And I legitimately said the words, there is no possible way for you guys to break this item. Not 10 minutes later, Cameron comes out with, what's to stop us from just making a bunch of really small 25 gold gems? It was at this moment they realised that they could break the economy. Yeah. So yeah, that's the paint. That's not quite as funny as the time that. So this campaign has been running for a year, and basically from the very start, I decided that the person who was giving them quests, a guy called Lucian, was in fact a major lore relevant character called Jace Beleren in disguise, trying to find new recruits. I'd had this planned out for months, dropping hints, he's a really powerful mind mage, all that kind of stuff. And then, 2 weeks before I had planned the reveal that this was going to be happening, Oscar at the end of the session just says, wouldn't it be funny if Lucian was actually Jace? And I wanted to kill him, because he figured it out. But yeah. Anyone have any other questions or fun wee stories they'd like to share whilst we're all together? Again, I'm scheduled until 4. I can leave early, but I'm not going to. Your mic's working, Jandra, yeah? No, okay, yeah. Oh no. Oh my god. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. That actually does remind me of a point in regards to, like, when you're DMing stuff. No, I'm saying it's a good point that you reminded me. Jack, no. Yeah, but that actually is a good point when it comes to these kind of things. When it comes to the rules, uh, it's a good idea to follow them, of course, because it is a game and following the rules is a good idea, but they aren't gospel. You can change the rules all the time, and I find that playing loose with the rules is usually a lot more fun than being a rules lawyer about them. Uh, so, as an example, there with the flask of refilling ale, uh, just rules as written. That was probably like a decanter endless water or something that makes endless water, something like that. But it's a lot more fun if you can change the liquid in it. Uh, as a DM, go along with what your players say. So long as what they're trying to do will not straight up screw over the campaign, let them do it. Because if it goes well, that's a fun story, and if it goes poorly, they've learned a lesson. They will never remember to carry this lesson through, but they will at least pretend to. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes like it is just straight up impossible, but usually it's fun anyway, even when it is. But yeah, trying to think if there's anything else I would like to say. Any other fun stories? Oh, so over lockdown, I ran 5 campaigns a week. I don't know how I managed this while staying sane. Actually, that's a lie. I don't know how I managed this while staying as insane as I currently am. Uh, but yeah, there was the Ravnica campaign that went well. I ran through the Essentials kit and then it moved on to the Dungeon of the Man Mage. There was 2 separate ones that took place on Thursday, both of which ended horribly and were frankly impressive. There was one in a system called Soulbound, which is for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. There was a campaign that I was a player in with Oscar as the DM. And then there was the Tuesday campaign. Now, this campaign started off basically just as like stress relief for everyone, run a campaign so people can take their mind off the fact that the world is currently dying, which hasn't really stopped. But in the first session, I hadn't all that much planned. It was mostly improv. They were doing like a wee mystery, found out that a Yuan-Ti was kidnapping people. Pretty fun. At the end of the first session, though, a wild magic sorcerer got a wild magic surge. And for those of you who don't know what one of the results of the wild magic table, they rolled the result that says you cast fireball centered on yourself. 2 player characters died. First level. Yeah. The only reason that the sorcerer survived because he succeeded on the dexterity saving throw and also had resistance to fire damage. So that was very fun. That 2 player characters just died. Don't add the deck of many things to your campaign you want to continue past that session. Oh god. That sounds about right, yeah. As you do. Uh, yeah, it's great crack. Uh, but the Tuesday campaign also has quite fun. So it ran like the entirety of like March till the end of August there. It still hasn't technically finished because we had like 4 delays in a row right at the end of lockdown before I went to uni. So that was quite well timed, frankly. Uh, But that campaign is quite notable for the fact that they are basically playing straight up villains at this point. They think they're good guys, and on their character sheets they're all written down as like lawful good, chaotic good. There's not even anyone that's put down as like chaotic neutral or anything like that. But we have someone who is now basically a cannibal, because Oscar cannot be trusted. Someone who is, their main goal in life is to become a lich, somehow for good. I'm yet to figure out how they think capturing souls to put into a phylactery is a good thing, but we have, and then the funniest one's probably Cameron's character. So Cameron's character is called Deathlair, and he called him Deathlair because Cameron was trying to do like real power gamey stuff, and it was a very casual campaign that was intended to only go on for like 5 sessions, but immediately spun out of control. So he was doing like, oh, I want to take this feat and this feat and this feat, so I told him, no, not really. And then he tried to play a Warforged that didn't fit my setting. No, not really. So he just made a paladin called Deathlair, which is real sad backwards. That's not all. Later on in the campaign, Deathlair got access to an artifact that I made, called the Rake of Melancholy, which basically was just the embodiment of sadness. It's very edgy, and I love it. But if you touch anyone with the Rake of Melancholy, they will feel a pang of sadness in their soul. The main villain of my campaign are the Yuan-Ti, who are emotionless beings. Can you imagine what happens when you introduce a being that has never felt any emotion whatsoever to a pang of sadness? Deathlair has now made it his ultimate quest to awaken all Yuan-Ti to emotions, even though it makes them really depressed. It's straight up evil. It's straight up evil. Ugh. But yeah. What? They can't even get reinstated. I'm trying to think of any other advice to go along with those kind of things. Yeah. When it comes to that kind of stuff, just do whatever you want. It's really fun to have, even though clerics in their spell list cannot get things like animate dead or create undead, I can find ways to do it if that makes sense in character. Oh god. Oh, of course, yeah. Well, on that front, if you would like to still play a stand user, in the Explorer's Guide to Wildemont, there is a subclass of fighter called the Echo Fighter, which straight up gives you a stand. Yeah? Oh. Yeah, so this is one of those things that you'll just sort of learn through experience. So I've learned that the Cavalier subclass of fighter is hilariously overpowered, because you can just get, combining it with the monocombatant feat, especially where it gets bad, because they're a Cavalier. They have to have a mount of some kind. Otherwise, you're being a dick of a DM by not letting them have it. So they'll have advantage in every attack unless they're fighting big monsters. They will have reactions that let them like attack monsters whenever they get into range. By 18th level, but when it's 18th level, by then you should be overpowered as all hell anyway. They get a reaction on every single creature's turn. They can use a reaction to use a warding maneuver to add a D8 to someone's AC, and even if that doesn't stop the attack, they still take half damage. They have a thing that makes it so that a player, like a monster, can only attack the Cavalier, otherwise it has disadvantage on attacks against other people, and even if it does hit other people, The Cavalier can then attack that creature. Arthur has broken my campaign, and it's so funny. But on a similar front to that, if you're a DM, don't give your players too many magic items. Just don't. Because, yeah, I love letting my players roll on tables because, it makes it feel like they're the ones that got that item. But it has led to Arthur getting 2 Vorpal swords. And Nit has 3 crystal balls. I think you've used them once. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. Resistance to all damage. Except force and psychic. Oh, yeah, yeah. Actually, a bit of advice on that. Have you tried just like doing crowd control effects on the Echo Fighter, or does that not work? Huh. Have you tried hold person? Damn. Have you tried 5 wizards all casting hold person? Oh god. Hypnotic. Oh god. Yoga. Oh, if you do straight just want to kill this, if you straight just want to kill this Echo Fighter, if you do just want to kill this Echo Fighter, reverse gravity into a prismatic wall, which is a thing that. Hmm? Yeah. So, uh, well, my average is a bit lower than most people's because I have no time anyway. So, like, I have genuinely done campaigns where the only preparation I've had was the 20-minute walk from LSBT1 to the SU Lounge. Or I wake up like an hour before the session online and realize, I haven't prepared this one. But whenever I'm planning something big or the starting chapter of a campaign, you will want a bit more stuff. So you'll want to make the area they're doing. If assuming this is homebrew, uh, you want to make the area they're doing the adventure in. You'll want to make a couple of NPCs for them to interact with, and you'll want to make the first quest. And I usually say that it takes. You can spend however long you want on this. Uh, in the past, I have done it in about 2 hours. I think is my record, but that was for a campaign that didn't matter. Uh, well, yeah, well, this was over the course of several days, like just like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes here, etc. Uh, I think the most time I ever spent preparing one session was over the course of a week. I spent about 8 hours preparing one. But that was mostly making like a big dungeon. So my average is not lower because I'm amazing. My average is lower because I'm incompetent and don't have time to prepare campaigns. I will say that the more time you put into preparing a campaign, the better it is going to be. But you can get away with just bullshitting it because your players don't know the difference. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. And like even when it comes to running modules, I am running technically two right now, but Dungeons and Damage is on hold. I'm running Descent into Avernus right now for my flat. Uh, just give yourself some time to read through it. Uh, if you would like one of the modules that we have, I would really recommend. If you do want just a really simple campaign, I'd recommend the Starters Kit. If you want something that's a bit more advanced, that's got like choices and all in it, I'd recommend the Essentials Kit. It's really up to you though. Fair enough. Oh yeah, Mind of Endeavor is weird in that it's meant for like brand new players, but the first encounter has killed several parties. Uh, yeah, they're both great, and if you are running any modules, you'll want to take the time before running through them to have a proper read through of what you're going to run. Uh, it's technically recommended that you read through the whole thing first, but usually that's a bit much. Like the Sanitary Bonus is like 200 pages. I'm not reading all of that before I do the first session. Uh, just like make sure you've read the thing you're doing. So when it comes to the Essentials Kit, for example, they show up in town and they have 3 quests that they can choose from. Read through the introduction and read through the 3 quests. Everything else doesn't matter yet. I was kind of hoping it was some sort of pet. It's moderately disrespectful. If anyone would like to run any of those modules, just send me or Aoife a DM, and yeah, we can easily sort that all out. Anyone have any other questions, just sort of like when it comes to running things, if they want to, like, I do know some things about being a player, like running fun backstories and things like that. Yeah, screw it, I'll say stuff like that. When it comes to running backstories, include hooks for your DM to use. Someone died there. F's in chat. When it comes to no, they're back. Right. When it comes to writing backstories, include hooks for your DM to use. So, as an example for the Saturday campaign I'm running for Dragonflyers, one of the players has included that on their person they have a holy book from their church. That's going to be very fun to use at some point, as a kind of plot hook of, oh, someone's come to take that book. Someone really wants it. That book's cursed. Anything along those lines is great. Include enemies in your backstory, include friends. Xanathar's Guide has great tables for this that are hilarious to use. Those tables are the reason why Arthur is married to an angel and a demon. Arthur cannot be trusted. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, it's always great whenever you try to fit the character into the world, but so what? So long as, like, the race exists in that world, or even if it doesn't, if the DM allows it. Like, if your DM is okay with you making a character, make that character. Some DMs will say things along the lines of, like, I don't allow feats, for example, and maybe they just have like specific feats that they don't let people use. Like, for example, the Sentinel feat. Screw the Sentinel feat and everything it stands for. The Lucky feat as well is another great example of a feat that is very overpowered. Yeah, 3 free advantages. It's hilarious. But that's only some DMs. Like, I am okay with people using any feat if they can justify it. Except for Modern Combatant, because I get PTSD flashbacks. Mostly from that time that someone tried to argue that they could use another player as their mount because they were a small character and a medium character. And for some reason I allowed it until I remembered about the thing where there's a thing in Modern Combatant where you can take the damage for your mount. So this then basically became like 2 tanks in one, and it was so hilariously stupid. One of them actually was a goblin. Three raccoons in a trench coat. A new stat block: 3x in a trench coat. Yes, trash puns. Uh, hmm. Anything else? As I said earlier, I will be running like a proper how to be a better DM thing in about a month's time, on the 14th of November. Yeah, it'll be good fun to come along, whether you have DM before, if you're just looking for advice, if you just want to laugh at my inadequacies at being a DM, if you're thinking of becoming a DM, or if you just want to be a player to see what we think of you behind your backs. Uh, Here's a hint. Never piss off the DM. They have the power to make rocks fall at any point. Yeah, like it takes. So I will say, uh, so this is a very good point to make on these fronts. D&D is not a competitive game. It is never a competitive DM. It's never a competitive game, unless like the DM makes it. But then that's usually for like an event, like a tournament or something. It's weird. It is a cooperative experience. Sometimes the DM might make it seem competitive. So with the Ravnica campaign, something I do is I like act really annoyed. Like, how are you killing the Tarask? When inside I'm laughing along with them, because because pretending to be annoyed at them killing your big bad is hilarious. Yeah, exactly. Uh, but then like it's always a cooperative experience. It should never be the DM versus the players or the players versus other players, because that way it leads to moments that feel really bad. Because if the DM is actively trying to kill the party and succeeds in that, only the DM feels good about it. If the DM is actually trying to kill the party and fails in that, only the party feels good about it. If the players are fighting over, if it's in character fighting, like it makes sense for the fighter to really want the Vorpal sword, but the barbarian also wants it, and they're arguing over that, that's fine. But if like outside of the game, it's just like the player who's playing the fighter really wants the sword, even though it would be a lot better for the barbarian, that's when things get a bit iffy. These things very rarely happen, and like when they do happen, it's a good idea to talk to your players. And this brings me to another point, in that if anything, in any of the games that happen in the Dragon Slayer servers, through our LFG system or something you've organized yourself, ends horribly, someone's being offensive, someone's being an ass, tell us, we will talk to them, we will take any action that's needed, we're here for you. Shut up, phone. Yeah, so, yeah, uh, that's another point. This applies mainly to evil campaigns, but it can apply to any other campaign that you might be running. It's a good idea to set boundaries. So, whenever I'm running a campaign, it's sort of an unwritten rule that I'm not all that comfortable with playing any sort of like sexual encounters along those kind of lines, because it's with my players. That's creepy. Uh, some people aren't comfortable with the mention of like ludicrous amounts of blood in combat, because they might be homophobic. Uh, I steer away from like any straight up racism in my campaigns, because that can make some people really uncomfortable. It's a really good idea to set these boundaries with your players as a DM and as a player with your DM, just to prevent these kind of things from happening. It is very rare that they will come up ever, but they sometimes do. Uh, don't go any further on that. No, stop there. That's, yeah. It, like, this is the kind of things, it will happen once in your D&D career. It will be, if it happens at all. There's assholes in every community, as everyone knows, but we're here for you, like, for players, for the players, for the DMs. The Dragon Chess Committee is here to make sure that if anything does go wrong, we will help you fix it. Uh, oh, congratulations. You'll be able to run the lighting of Roll20. Wow. Not bragging at all. Yeah, that's really good. I think that's what my PC had for ages. Oh, damn. You'll be able to play something other than Among Us. Yeah, I should be getting like an upgrade in tech soon enough, so I can play. I'll be able to run Roll20's lighting. The what? Did I miss out on this? What? I get a tribute? Ryan, we don't be public about that. Uh, oh, there was just like a pile of 10 like ram cards just in the gutter. Yeah, that was a weird one. Oh well. Uh, oh, I'm guessing that everyone here has either like if they're going to sign up for the looking for group system has already signed up for it. If not, well, if you want to, I can probably check for you. I have to go through like 10 different things because my system is. It is pinned in general shenanigans under role playing. So if you haven't signed up already, you can go there very easily. It's just a Google form, like it basically just goes to do a spreadsheet so that if it can assign you to places. If you've already signed up and like want to add in that you want to be a GM, just message Aoife because it will add an extra thing into the spreadsheet and effort. Although like that's just me being a bit pedantic about it. Just let me see here. I can find out. Just for everyone's interest to see how many people will sign up to the Looking for Group system, because last time I checked we had 30, and who knows, we could be up to a lot more. And genuinely thanks for coming out to this. I was a bit stressed that I was going to log in today and find 3 people had joined. But it's actually been fairly successful, and that's thanks to you guys being here, being respectful, asking questions. Hooray. I should have this recording uploaded at some point. Who knows if that's going to be any good? My guess is probably not. Just realised that I cannot look that up because I've got screen share on. Going to have to edit that out. Fuck. I have screen share on for the recording so that you could see the Dragonslayer stuff. I'm going to go through that to see if the video was good enough because my laptop needs to process things. If it's stuttery as all hell, you will just get audio, which will probably be not the best, but there's not much I can do about it. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good place to end it. Thank you all very much for coming along.